Greetings, radiant Leo soul. Some messages don't arrive in your inbox, they arrive in your heartbeat. You didn't stumble upon this video. You felt the pull, an almost electric whisper, guiding you here. That's because from May 1st to May 3rd, something rare is aligning in your energy field. 6 sacred numbers have been activated for Leo, and they hold the architecture of wealth, clarity, and divine timing. But this isn't just about money, this is about a long-awaited inner shift that finally matches the power you've always carried. The universe isn't predicting your future. It's responding to your frequency. These 6 numbers weren't designed for good luck. They are living codes, vibrating in the exact rhythm you're about to embody. They are not outside of you. They are you, decoded. And if you've been feeling lately like you're standing at the edge of something, like life is holding its breath right before a breakthrough, you're right. This reading is not about guessing. It's about unlocking. At Eternal Mindfulness, we believe that every viewer who finds us is part of a larger, divine conversation. You're not here to be told what will happen. You're here to remember what's already written in your stars, and claim it. So before we go any further, take a breath. Ground into this moment. And if any part of your body feels a subtle buzz, a tiny yes, I invite you to comment below with a sacred number that's been following you lately. Angel numbers, favorite numbers, anything that feels right. This isn't superstition. It's spiritual alignment. Your comment is your contract with the universe. A quiet declaration that says, I'm ready. And now, allow me a moment to say this from my heart. Thank you. Truly. For being here. For watching. For commenting. For subscribing. Every click you make, every word you share, brings us deeper into this evolving family of eternal mindfulness. Your presence, your energy, and your support allow us to share these life-changing messages, not just with you, but with thousands of souls searching for clarity. You are not passive in this process, Leo. You are the activator. And trust me, dear heart, you're going to want to stay with me until the very end of this message. What the universe is about to show you will not just uplift you, it will anchor you into a timeline of prosperity that was always meant to be yours. Now, before we dive into the 6 numbers themselves, I have just one question for you. What subtle sign, what silent pull, brought you here today? Maybe it was a repeating number. A strange dream. A feeling that today just means something. Whatever it was, follow that thread. Because what we're about to reveal is more than a message. It's a mirror. And it reflects a Leo who's not just waiting on destiny. You're here to embody it. When the number 1 appears in your field, it doesn't come with noise or urgency. It arrives with a stillness that holds clarity. In astrology and numerology alike, this number embodies the primal spark, the unshakable will to rise and begin again. For Leo, a sign ruled by the sun itself, this number is not just symbolic, it's reflective of your original coding, the sacred confidence to initiate, to lead, and to walk the path no one else has dared yet. But unlike the kind of beginnings shaped by ambition or social approval, this one asks something deeper. Are you ready to act not because others believe in you, but because you do? From the cosmic lens, 1 is the breath that precedes the word, the silence before the sunrise. It's the return to pure awareness, where all potential exists before form. For Leo, this energy stirs something familiar, the deep desire to be seen, but more importantly, to be true. That's why when this vibration enters, it doesn't just push you forward, it challenges the parts of you still clinging to hesitation. In the quiet language of energy, it whispers, you don't need permission. You need presence. When we translate this into the rhythm of daily life, we're not talking about grand launches or huge gestures. We're talking about the moment your feet hit the floor in the morning and you choose, quietly but powerfully, to honor yourself as the beginning. You don't start because you're fully ready. You start because starting is what makes you ready. This is why number 1 pairs so beautifully with the archetype of the magician in the tarot. The magician holds no extra tools beyond what is already on the table. He channels above and below, not to impress, but to embody the truth that all transformation begins with intention. He knows that energy follows focus, and so he places his will with precision. Similarly, Leo's inner light is most powerful not when it seeks validation, but when it beams from alignment. In everyday action, this means re-establishing simple but sacred rituals. A cup of warm lemon water in the morning may seem small, but it signals to your system, I am awake. I am tending to the vehicle that carries my light. It's this kind of devotion to the beginning that reshapes outcomes without fanfare. Professionally, the message is clear. The project you've been circling? The idea you've told yourself not yet? Begin. The condition you're waiting for is already within you. You're not supposed to be ready in the world's eyes. You're supposed to be honest in your own. Begin messily if you must, but begin. Clarity does not come before commitment, it's born from it. Financially, too, this is a turning point. Investing in yourself is not just a good idea, it is a cosmic instruction. You're not being called to spend wildly. You're being invited to recognize that your attention, your energy, your yes, these are currencies too. Pour them wisely into the version of you that is emerging. Read something new. Upgrade your skill. Dress not for the job you have, but the vibration you want to hold. And underneath it all, the most essential invitation is to liberate yourself from the thought that not enough means not now. So let's ask, gently but directly, what have you been postponing, not because it isn't right, but because you doubted whether you were ready? Write it down. Not to shame it, but to set it free. The beginning doesn't need applause to be valid. It only needs to be chosen. One breath. One step. One sacred yes. Sometimes, life doesn't ask us to add anything more, it simply asks us to let go. That's the quiet wisdom that arrives when the number 9 begins to vibrate within your energetic field. It's not dramatic. It doesn't demand attention. But it does hold immense transformative power. For Leo, a sign built on identity, presence, and self-expression, the energy of 9 is like a sacred whisper reminding you, you don't have to carry this anymore. Unlike the kind of endings that feel abrupt or forced, 9 represents the kind that comes with grace. It's the closing of a chapter that has fulfilled its purpose. When we resist this, we often suffer, not because the ending is painful, but because we're afraid of the space that follows. The unknown, the unstructured, the place where we don't yet know who we are without that relationship, that role, that belief. But the truth is, that space isn't empty, it's the birthplace of renewal. In astrological language, Leo often holds on because of loyalty. You're fiercely devoted to the people, identities, and visions you once believed in. But what if that loyalty is now costing you your growth? What if holding on to an outdated version of yourself is keeping you from evolving into the next radiant expression of who you're meant to be? Number 9 doesn't rush you into change, it gently points out what's already ready to be released. The tarot card most aligned with this energy is Death. And despite its name, the card has nothing to do with finality in the traditional sense. It speaks of transformation, of dissolving forms so that something truer can rise. Think of a leaf falling from a tree. It's not a failure. It's part of the cycle. And in the same way, what's leaving your life now may actually be clearing the soil for a deeper, richer season ahead. There's a teaching that reminds us, only when the hand opens can it receive. But opening your grip means first noticing what you've been white-knuckling, what habits have become identity, what patterns have become safety nets. This is where the energy of number 9 becomes a kind of medicine. It invites you not to cut ties impulsively, but to exhale the stories you've outgrown. The ones that may have once served you, but now only take up room in your body, your mind, your day. In practice, this is a time to cleanse, physically, emotionally, and mentally. You don't need an expensive retreat to do that. Start with your liver, your literal filter. Sip warm water with herbs that aid digestion. Choose greens. Choose stillness. Choose rest. Your body processes not only food but emotion, and it's time to stop feeding it stories you no longer want to carry. In love, too, this moment is a threshold. Not everything you've tolerated in silence is a sign of strength. Sometimes letting go is the most radical form of self-love. Ask yourself gently, have I been bending so much that I've forgotten my own center? The energy of 9 says it's safe now to stand in your full truth, even if it means releasing a connection that no longer sees your light. There's an inner question this energy always brings forward: what have I known is over, but still pretend isn't? Answering this doesn't mean acting immediately. It means being honest. And from that honesty, real change can begin. Letting go isn't a loss, it's the quiet reclaiming of power. Not the kind that forces, but the kind that frees. Sometimes clarity doesn't come through more doing, it comes through stepping back and seeing from a wider lens. The presence of the number 12 signals a sacred pause, a deliberate moment of suspension that invites a deeper kind of knowing. Unlike the energy of urgency or the chase for progress, 12 calls for stillness, not as avoidance, but as wisdom. It's the symbolic breath between intention and action. And for Leo, who often lives through expression and forward momentum, this invitation to hang in the space between can feel unfamiliar, but profoundly necessary. This is the space where insight sharpens. Where the noise of the world quiets long enough for you to finally hear the more subtle voice within you, the voice that already knows. It's not telling you to stop dreaming or achieving, but it is asking, are you chasing the right vision, or one that no longer reflects who you are becoming? Just because something once inspired you doesn't mean it still feeds your spirit now. In the language of the tarot, the hanged man is not trapped, he's surrendered. He's chosen to see things upside down so that truth can rise from a different angle. His power comes not from what he controls, but from what he's willing to release. This mirrors the kind of strength that's often misunderstood in the modern world, the strength to not react, the strength to observe, the strength to be present without rushing toward the next thing. And yet, once that stillness does its work, the number 20 enters with a very different vibration. It's the energy of awakening, a kind of internal calling that no longer lets you stay asleep to your deeper purpose. It doesn't roar, it resonates. Not with pressure, but with precision. When 20 appears, it's less about pushing forward and more about aligning with the part of you that remembers why you came here in the first place. This moment isn't asking you to abandon everything and start over. It's asking for alignment, not reinvention. Often, the discomfort we feel in life isn't because something is wrong, it's because something is ready to evolve. The number 20 reflects this awareness. It's like standing at the edge of a river that you've crossed before, but this time, you're more conscious of the current. You're no longer moved by momentum alone, you move from insight. Financially, this is a time to review what you're building. You may be earning, but is it aligned? Are your resources coming from environments that reflect your values, or ones that have subtly worn down your joy? If the answer feels heavy, don't panic. This isn't about walking away immediately. It's about becoming aware, and then adjusting with grace. This shift can also be supported through small, grounded practices. A short daily meditation, just 12 minutes, can begin rewiring your nervous system to respond from clarity rather than reactivity. Ending the day with 20 lines of gratitude may seem simple, but it's the kind of repatterning that transforms the lens through which you see your entire life. The mind becomes more spacious. The heart softens. The future stops feeling so far away. And perhaps that's the quiet genius of these numbers together. One asks you to stop and see. The other asks you to rise and respond. Not with force, but with awareness. Not for ego, but for something greater than yourself. There's a teaching that reminds us, the moment we shift from, what do I get, to, what do I give, is the moment we align with a larger rhythm of purpose. And purpose is never something to search for, it's something to remember. So when you feel the tension between where you are and where you sense you could be, don't rush to close the gap. Honor it. That space isn't empty. It's alive. It's where transformation begins. Creation doesn't always begin with inspiration, it begins with structure. The number 22 carries the energy of the master builder, not just someone who dreams, but someone who anchors those dreams into form. Where earlier numbers may encourage exploration or reflection, 22 arrives with a kind of grounded conviction. It asks, are you building something that can stand? Not just for you, but for others. Not just for today, but for the future. This is the vibration of legacy, and for Leo, a sign naturally aligned with leadership, vision, and expression, this number offers a powerful reminder: your light is not meant to flicker. It's meant to illuminate. There's something beautifully humbling about the energy of 22. It doesn't glorify the spotlight. It reveres the blueprint. It values consistency over charisma, endurance over enthusiasm. You don't have to rush toward results. What matters here is the integrity of what you're building. The Emperor in the Tarot echoes this perfectly, not as a symbol of domination, but as a quiet architect of order, discipline, and vision. The kind of ruler who builds not for praise, but for permanence. So what does that look like in your real, breathing life? It starts with intention, but not just any intention. A mature one. The kind of intention that's been thought through, refined, and committed to. You don't need 100 action steps. You need 22 steps you'll actually follow. Start where it matters. Break the big into the manageable. And hold yourself accountable not from pressure, but from clarity. Progress isn't always loud, but when it's rooted, it becomes undeniable. In your career, this number may be signaling that it's time to narrow your focus. Maybe you've been juggling too many paths, too many maybes, too many opportunities that dilute your true zone of genius. 22 reminds you that mastery comes not from multitasking, but from mastery of direction. Just one income stream, when it's clear, intentional, and infused with value, can sustain more than 5 scattered ones ever could. But you must trust in the power of depth. This also applies to your body. The message isn't to work harder, it's to be more consistent. Regular movement, nourishing food, enough rest. Discipline isn't punishment. It's devotion. The body is the home of your energy field, and it deserves your leadership just as much as your business or dreams do. You don't need a fancy plan. You need rhythm. There's a principle often taught in monastic traditions: repetition is not dull, it's liberating. When you no longer question what your next step is, because it's been decided with wisdom, you free up mental space for presence, for creativity, for awareness. You become the architect not just of external results, but of your inner environment. And from that place, the most beautiful structures rise, quietly, steadily, with strength. Ask yourself this: what are you building this month that could one day outlast you? What habits, systems, or ideas are you weaving into place, not just for immediate gain, but to become part of something enduring? When 22 enters your field, it's a call not just to act, but to act with vision. Not just to start something, but to see it through. So let your choices reflect the architecture you're designing. Each small action is a brick. Each commitment is a foundation. Each time you return to the task instead of drifting, you reinforce the structure of the life you say you want. The beauty of 22 isn't in what it promises instantly, it's in what it makes inevitable, if you stay with it long enough to let it unfold. Joy is often misunderstood. We chase it, postpone it, frame it as a reward we earn after enough effort, but the energy of the number 30 reveals a gentler truth. Joy isn't something that waits at the end of a long, hard road. It's something that lives in the very way we walk it. For Leo, a sign ruled by the radiant sun, this number speaks directly to your essence. It's a reminder that your most powerful contribution doesn't come from how hard you try. It comes from how fully you allow yourself to shine. The vibration of 30 blends expression and presence. It invites you to stop performing and start participating. To stop waiting for permission and start creating, simply because it lights you up. There's a subtle but important difference between action rooted in duty and action born from joy. The first may impress the world, but the second transforms it, because it comes from alignment, not obligation. The Sun card in the tarot reflects this beautifully. It is not concerned with perfection. It celebrates honesty, light, and the pure, unfiltered essence of being. In many meditative traditions, there's a teaching that says, when you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. It sounds simple, but it speaks to something profound, the art of being present in what you're doing, without dragging your mind forward or backward. That is the foundation of joy. Not the moment itself, but the way you meet it. When number 30 shows up in your life, it's nudging you back to that kind of presence. It asks you to rediscover the beauty of uncomplicated expression, singing even if your voice cracks, dancing even if your rhythm is off, speaking truth even if your voice shakes. It invites you to drop the filter and reconnect with your essence, not for applause, but because it's how you come alive. This is a time to pause and remember that joy is not a luxury. It is a necessity for any sustainable growth. It replenishes your emotional reserves, sharpens your intuition, and makes space for creativity. If your days feel dull or disconnected, it's not because you're doing something wrong. It may be because you've forgotten to let joy into the process. Gratitude can be a beautiful bridge back. Try writing down 30 things you're thankful for, not just the big moments, but the small, tender ones, the quiet cup of tea, the sunlight on your skin, the laugh you didn't expect. Gratitude turns what you have into enough, and often reveals you're richer than you realized. Romantically, this energy encourages openness. If there's something you've been holding back, an appreciation, an affection, a simple, I care, now is the time to express it. Love is not meant to be stored, it's meant to circulate. And that circulation starts with expression. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Joy rarely arrives in scripted scenes. It blooms in the spontaneous, the simple, the sincere. You might also notice certain colors start to call to you more now, like bright peach or sunlit orange. These are not random preferences. Color is frequency, and your system intuitively knows what tones will lift your emotional energy. Let them in. Wear them, surround yourself with them, let them animate your space. Before you move on, ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you did something just because it made you smile? No agenda, no outcome. Just joy for joy's sake. The number 30 reminds you that those moments are not distractions, they are the heartbeat of a meaningful life. Let joy be your compass again. Let it show you the way back to yourself. Leo darling, if there's one truth I want you to carry with you after today, it's this: you never needed permission to shine. You never needed to earn your worth through performance, to prove your value by doing more, being louder, trying harder. You were already born with everything you need. The light you carry is not conditional. It's elemental. The universe has simply been waiting for you to remember. As we walked through each number from 1 to 30, you may have noticed something deeper than coincidence. Each number was more than just guidance, it was a mirror. A reminder. A sequence of awakenings leading you back to your own center. This journey wasn't designed to help you chase after more. It was meant to call you home to the version of yourself that no longer seeks, but radiates. From the fierce initiation of number 1, to the wise release of 9, to the awakening clarity of 12 and 20, to the grounded mastery of 22, and finally to the joy and honesty of 30, you've been invited not to build a new identity, but to strip away everything that isn't aligned with your original brilliance. You don't have to force success. When you're in alignment, it finds you. So take a moment now. Let these words settle into your chest like sunlight filtering through the leaves. You don't have to rush. You don't have to fix anything. You simply have to allow. Let yourself feel what's been rising quietly within you. That pull. That whisper. That stirring in your gut when something just clicked. That's your soul saying yes. That's your energy saying, this is real. And maybe right now, there's a part of you asking, can I really live like this? Can I build something steady while still being joyful? Can I let go of who I used to be without knowing exactly who I'm becoming? Can I trust that what I feel pulling me forward is enough to guide me? Yes, Leo. You can. In fact, you must. Because the version of you that waits for the world to give approval will never feel ready. But the version of you that leads with inner truth? That one changes everything, not just for you, but for everyone you touch. So let me ask you, what are you committing to after today? What one truth will you carry forward, even if the world doesn't clap for it? What small shift will you honor, not because someone told you to, but because your heart knows it's time? If this video spoke to something inside you, leave a comment below with a sacred number, or write your own truth out loud. You could start with something like, I am the magnet for abundance. I do not ask, I embody. Let that sentence become a ripple. Let it become your new normal. And please, don't keep this energy to yourself. Share this video with someone who's been dimming their light. Remind them, they're not here to shrink. They're here to rise. Just like you. Thank you for being part of this moment with me. Thank you for your likes, your shares, your beautiful comments, and your presence. Every act of support helps expand the Eternal Mindfulness community, and I'm honored that you chose to spend your energy here today. You're not just watching astrology. You're awakening to yourself. Stay with this frequency. Let it unfold. The rest of your life isn't waiting, it's already responding.